So, hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this video, we like to achieve our playlist how to create a web form in React and try to develop our form in a several checkbox and try to give the way to handle all values and put them in a list. So, first step we will create a component, a new component, right click, new file, and we can give it the name test checkbox .js check, voilà, test checkbox .js, and we try to develop our components with a function because we have two ways to create the component. We can create it with a class or function. The first line is import React from the file React, and we must use a hook to handle the value in all web forms. So we can comma and curly braces and write use import the use state hook, voila, and we create our function. This function has the same name of the file, so function test checkbox, voilà. And this function return a simple web form, so we can return a empty tag. In this empty tag we can create our web form which contain checkbox. So we can create a form. In this form we create a label, for example, select your preferred language, and we try to create checkbox for example 3 checkbox. The first is input the type checkbox and we can give the name LG, for example. The name and value is C#, so we can write C# here, and we add the classical method value name and on change. So on change function, we let it in the end of this video. So the importance value is type on change, name and value. Now we can duplicate our inputs. Say Java, for example, and the value is Java. The third language is Python, so we can give the name Python. Alhamdulillah, we created our web form. So we must create a hook to handle all selected value. It is important to handle all checked values. So in this form we can add on submit function, and we can give a name to the function display, for example, display all checked text box. So we can define this function const. This function is display equal display equal. So we can give the parameter and return a value. Now it is important to define a hook to manipulate all checked values. So we can const create a hook list with the two values. The first value is language, LG languages, and the second value is a function to set the language, and we can initialize with use state, voila, and we can initialize with a empty list. Alhamdulillah. So we have a hook named LJS and a function to modify this hook set language, initialized in the first time with a empty list. So when the user selected the checkbox, we must handle the effect. So we can write on change, we can pass a arrow function, so equal return, and we go to modify the selected value. So we can check list between we can copy this function, arrow function, in all the checkboxes. Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and Ctrl V. In the first, our list is empty. Now we try to develop our function check L. So Ctrl C and Ctrl V, and we can function check L, and we must populate our list. So if checked we can add this checked element in our list. So if we can use if else if this checked element is not in the list, so we can write this LG. This is a list. Control C, Control V. Dot includes between dot targets value. If LG include targets value is not include the targets value, we can add this element in our list. So we can use set language to modify our hook. Control C, Control V, and we can modify we can use spread function, spread operator, and we add dot targets value classical spread operator to add elements in our list which not include in the list. Else that LG include, we must drop or must remove the checked value in our list now. So we can use, you can call the function Control C and Control V, and we can use filter this operator LGS dot filter, and we can use filter dot filter, and we pass a arrow function item, for example, equal greater than, and we can modify item not equal dot targets dot value. Voilà. We can remove all item that item is not equal or not equal a target value, a checked value. Voilà. This is the function, and now we try to display all the item of our list. Display. Now we can display first we use dot prevent prevent default, and we try to display all the elements, so we can alert, for example, alert, and all the list alerts our list LGS. Try to call this component in index.js, so we can test checkbox, go to test checkbox and default, export default the name of our function. So the name of our function is test checkbox. Go to index.js and call this component. So now we can test checkbox, import checkbox from checkbox, and convert this component to a tag like HTML5 tags, 5 tags. Check test checkbox. Now go to our navigator to check the results. Alhamdulillah, select your preferred language, C#, Java, Python. Try to coche C# and Python. We can console.log or add a button in this web form to display the results. So we can go to our components and add a simple button on submit. So we can this button display and type submit, submit. Go to our navigator and display alerts. Alhamdulillah, C# and Python. If we checked all checkbox, C# and Java and Python display, C#, Python, Java. If we not let Python, only Python display Python. Alhamdulillah, we give the response. Alhamdulillah, voila. What classical to construct and build a empty list first of all, and we try to populate with checked value. We use spread operator. If the target dot value is not in LGS list, we add it with this manner. Else we remove this element in this way. Remove the selected item from the LGS list with this code. LGS.filter item is different to targets.value. We can guard only the element that is not equal to LGS. Thank you very much and see you again.